to go. Entertainment from the folks you know. The old coyote is howling. Let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Conversation Corner, brought to us by Lucille's Roadhouse, Airport Road in Weatherford. State Representative Harold Wright joining us on the phone. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Vanessa. It's good talking to you again this morning.
Mr. Wright, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm well. I don't have the virus.
Oh,
That's good news, right?
Well, yeah, no, right now that's good news. That number keeps climbing. Anybody get any good April Fool's jokes yesterday?
No, I think people were just sort of had backed off that this year, not wanting to alarm anyone. I think I heard you all talking about it yesterday about some of the things we've done in the past. I remember one of the one of the bigger ones we did one time before. I think Vanessa, you even worked at the station. We had Dick Johnson was doing the news, and he came on and said that there had law been passed where people could not smoke in their car anymore.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no,
we did several stories about it. We had people up and down, jumping up and down and calling in mad about it, and of course it was just an April Fool's joke, but we had some fun with it.
It sounds like it. Well, we got lots of things to talk about this morning. Of course, we want to talk about the governor's press conference yesterday, extending his executive order, and your thoughts on that. And then also, I kind of want to, if people have questions, 580-772-9700, you can call and ask any question you want. We did have someone submit a question asking about insurance. I want to make sure I have this right, but some states are passing laws talking about for small businesses with their insurance companies because the denying business interruption claims because of what's going on.
There's no pandemic category.
Right, and so somewhere, and so we'll kind of talk about that this morning as well and what your thoughts are, and just like I said, anybody has any question at all, this is the time, 580-772-9700.
All right, and Conversation Corner is brought to us by Lucille's Roadhouse, and of course with Lucille's being a restaurant, they're affected by this greatly, and so they're doing their delivery, or not delivery, but delivering it to you at your curbside delivery is what I was trying to think of, and carry out. So they have, for today, their special is the family style special. It is one full rack of ribs and barbecue smoked sausage, and 2 sides, fried okra, and your choice of coleslaw or potato salad, and croissants for only $30 while it lasts at Lucille's Roadhouse.
The new Van and John show this Thursday morning is brought to you by Doug Gray Auto Group.
Lucille's Roadhouse in Weatherford wants you to know they have a full line of to-go capabilities, and for your safety and convenience, Lucille's Roadhouse offers online ordering through chownow.com, lucillesroadhouse.com, or their Facebook page. You can also order by calling 772-8808. Lucille's Roadhouse cares for their customers and wants everyone to be safe. New hours are Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays, 11 to 9. Get great food to go at Lucille's Roadhouse.
If you're in the market for a new utility tractor, no matter what brand, now is the best time to buy. Western Equipment is having a blowout sale on new remaining 2017, 2018, and 2019 John Deere utility tractors. From March 30th to April 4th, get a new 25 to 38 horsepower tractor as low as $10,600 and a 45 to 100 horsepower tractor as low as $17,600. There is limited supplies, to be the first in line to take advantage of huge savings. All the tractors are equipped with four-wheel drive and loaders. Compare these values to any brand out there. Go to west-equip.com for more info. Now is the best time to get you in a Deere.
This is Michael Barong with Barong Insurance, and we do trucking insurance. We have a specialty program for dirt, sand, gravel, and grain haulers, with anywhere from one truck on up to large fleets. Barong Insurance is one of the few agencies able to access this program, which is available in Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, and Kansas, with prompt issuance of filings and certificates, and locations in Weatherford and Edmond. We are the agency's service built. We are the Barong Insurance Agency, serving your insurance needs for over 70 years.
It's time for today's Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Blake Badgett and nurse practitioners Stephanie Yoder and Tasha Robinson. Dr. Badgett, tell us about the symptoms of coronavirus.
The symptoms typically are going to be something like a common cold, and that's the problem. Coughing and fever and shortness of breath. So those symptoms are very similar to what we're currently seeing with the flu, which is making it a little bit more difficult to determine who has it, who doesn't.
And if someone needs to be tested, how does that work?
They will go through a questionnaire. Once that's been completed, then phone calls are placed to the state health department. Nasal swabs and oral swabs are recommended, and those will be sent off to the state health department where the COVID-19 testing will be run, and that patient will remain in quarantine for 14 days or until the test comes back and shows it's negative.
And Dr. Badgett, what's the best way to prevent it?
It's kind of common sense, and we've kind of migrated away from that. It seems like, literally just washing our hands and staying home from work when you're sick, and those are going to be things that are all going to be real important to help prevent the spread of this.
If you're concerned about the coronavirus, contact your family physician or Dr. Blake Badgett, nurse practitioner Stephanie Yoder, or Tasha Robinson.
Morton Buildings has been constructing wood frame metal buildings in this area for over 50 years. We focus on quality materials and craftsmanship designed to offer the best value for this truly lifetime investment. We confidently back our buildings with the best non-prorated warranty in the industry. If you're planning a project or need ideas, visit our website at mortonbuildings.com. You can also call our office in Clinton at 580-323-1172 for more information.
Weatherford Save-A-Lot on Washington and Main in the Weatherford Shopping Center understands the current situation can be challenging for many. To keep their customers as informed as possible, they've created a Weatherford Save-A-Lot Facebook group with the latest prices and product availability. Go to @SAL Weatherford OK on Facebook today. Weatherford Save-A-Lot prices are just as low as ever, and they are here for you. Make Save-A-Lot your first stop, and it could be the only stop you need. Check out @SAL Weatherford OK on Facebook.
New Van and John Show on the Coyote.
Hits Conversation Corner brought to us by Lucille's Roadhouse. State Representative Harold Wright joining us on the phone. Lucille's has their family special. It's ribs this time, $30 for all kinds of stuff, slab of ribs and smoked sausage and all that goodness.
Be rich.
Carry out only.
Yeah.
Have you been eating out, Harold?
No, we probably eat at home more than we have in a long time. We've picked up some things, but mostly cooking at home. And I think that that's a good policy, but also at the same time, I think what Rick Cook and Justin are doing out at Lucille's is a great example of what a business can do to be creative, and I think their special day sounds really good to me.
No, I'm with you there. It's been real creative, being able to start offering the family meals and things like that, and getting everything all together, so it's been fun.
We have somebody on the phone that has a question for you, Harold. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, I was calling to find out, do you think that there's going to be a martial law from the government or the president, being that people don't want to stay at home?
Thank you for your call, sir. We're going to go ahead and let you go, but we appreciate the call, and we'll let Harold answer that. And if anyone else has a question, 772-9700. Go ahead, Harold.
That's really a good question, and I hope it doesn't come to that. I think that's going to be very difficult to try to enforce, and so I don't think that'll happen. But I will tell you this, there's a possibility of a special session next week. We are going into session, though, one way or the other next week. The last 2 weeks we have not been at the Capitol because of the coronavirus, but we're going in on a limited basis on Monday. We've invoked special rules, and yesterday I was on the phone with our caucus and leadership to come up with a plan. I was very pleased to be a part of that, but we're going to limit the number of people on the floor of the House to less than 10, and people will come on to the floor when they want to ask questions or present a bill, and we're going to be doing that for a couple of days. We're not going to hear a lot of bills, but the main bill we have to hear just yesterday, the Board of Equalization declared a revenue failure. What that means is that we had over, we're at 95% of what was projected for our budget. And when you drop below that 95% threshold, then the board has to call revenue failure, and then you can take money out of contingency funds or the rainy day fund to help supplement this year's budget. So we're going to have to do that. And so that's going to be a bill that we will be hearing next week on the floor of the House. It's essential to keep the state government going, but we are going to limit the number of people on the floor. But the question, about martial law, I know I've talked to different policemen around the area, the sheriff's office, DA, and they don't want to have to do that. They really want people to do this on their own. But I do know that in some instances, the police have been called out to ask people not to congregate. You're not supposed to congregate with 10 or more, and I think that's something that people seem to think, well, it's okay, we're going to be outside. we can all get together outside. We're just going to play games. Well, when you're hot and sweaty and you're out there running around, you're going to spread that disease if you've got it. And there's some people who are carrying it asymptomatic. They don't even know it. So there's always that danger out there right now. And one thing that you guys, I know you realize, this mitigation thing is a serious issue. It was projected that we could have had over 1 million people die in the United States without some sort of mitigation. It looks like that number is down to maybe around 200,000 deaths from the COVID virus. Now, that's a lot of people. But keeping that in perspective, like in New York City, 1,000 people a day die anyway. So of other things, it's because it's so heavily populated. People don't realize that. But that number of people dying has increased in New York City. It's awful. It's terrible because if it's your loved one and they have to spend their last moments in the hospital, that's really sad.
And you don't get to talk to them. Yeah, family's not around. And then the family that's been around that person, if they pass away, for instance, just hearing about this happening last week, the wife just had to stay at home by herself and her husband died.
Yes.
And so there she is. She has to be in quarantine. And it's just a terrible situation. And then I was also just thinking about if any of us, something happens and we have to go to the hospital, that's going to be a much bigger, horrible deal just because you're going to be by yourself. And babies being born. Think about that.
Well, that's right.
You'll go in and have your baby by yourself. Husband can't even go in.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. And people we're trying to, I say we are. I'm just happy to be involved on a very local level. But we are meeting with the governor through a teleconference at least twice a week. We had that meeting yesterday afternoon. And one thing the governor did, he's made all counties in the state now, to be open for essential businesses only. And that's pretty, broad. I'm not going to tell anybody to close up their business. Boy, you need to really be careful. You need to put a sign on the door, and you need to, if you're in a business where you have social contact, those are the kind of businesses. And I say social contact, I'm talking about that's your business. Those are the kind of businesses that really need to stay closed because you have tendency when touching and that type of thing to pass on the virus.
Now, what if you see someone's having trouble getting their coat on and it's all tangled up, and you try to help them with their coat?
Oh, she's making a joke, Harold. My mom did that as she was walking by trying to help a person.
The person was highly offended.
Yeah. Well, I here's what happened. I got to tell you, I was out at Sandplant Plum Trail the other day. You're supposed to still keep your social distancing.
Yes.
And two young ladies walked by, and they were talking. And anyway, I kind of just moved over to the right to stay away from them a little bit. And as they went by, they started laughing, and then they started coughing out loud. I thought that was very, very uncalled for.
Man, you should have been like, hey, I'm State Representative Harold Wright.
Call the police. Oh, man, I'm with
it.
Well,
that was disturbing. The kids would be making fun of it. And this
funny.
Is not just an adult disease. Kids are getting this. I've seen a number of young people get it. If you've got a problem as a child, this thing could be devastating.
Well, someone got arrested recently from doing the same thing those girls did to you. I guess they didn't cough right on you, but somebody coughed on someone and said, oh, I have COVID-19 or whatever. And literally the police were called and they were arrested. Like that's not legal. So
it's a big joke.
Hey, well, and that's what this man who called in a while ago was alluding to. I hope we don't have to get toward martial law. And I think the president and the governor are avoiding that at all costs. We want people to do this on their own. And I think people are doing it pretty well. You can shoot a cannon down the main street of Weatherford right now. Yeah. And I've never seen that in my life. I've been in Weatherford around here all my life, and I've never seen anything like that. It's just amazing. It's kind of like what it used to be like when I was a kid here in Weatherford. When August rolled around, there weren't any kids to college. Weatherford would pretty much close down that month. The movie theater would close for August, and it was kind of crazy. But our population's grown the past few years, and that's not the way it is today. But boy, it is right now with this virus issue. And so, just be careful out there and stay at home and don't spread the virus. That's very, very important. And don't be a part of it in any way. And we can mitigate this thing. There is good news. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Last night, one guy I saw talked about, this chloroquine being used in combination with an antibiotic. It's been very successful. People who he has treated with that have not adults, older people with had chronic illnesses. Have not one of them has died once he started them on this hydroxychloroquine.
What was
which
it
is a
that
drug.
somebody took and died? I feel like it was that one.
Well,
They
no,
took it with that?
no. They made him. He used some medicine that was for it was like for it had a similar name, and he shouldn't have taken it. I mean, you got to be careful. You got to use drugs that are approved by the FDA, and hydroxychloroquine is approved. It has to be prescribed by a physician. And that guy that died that I heard about he just took something that was kind of had a similar name, and it was used in an aquarium, to clean aquariums. You don't do that kind of thing. That's just stupid.
Man.
I mean, I don't think anyone in their right mind would do that. But sometimes people are desperate.
Hey, let's talk about this. A question came in that's asking about small businesses, and they have this business interruption policy, insurance coverage they've been paying for a while now. And a lot of insurance companies, in fact, I believe the Chickasaws or Choctaws, I don't remember which one, are actually suing Lords of London right now because they're filing a claim with business interruption insurance that they have, but they are denying it, saying this doesn't count because you closed on your own. Nobody said you had to close your doors. And that's part of it. I'm sure there's more legal terms than just that. But like, for example, New York and New Hampshire and Ohio, they've come in and said that insurance companies are not allowed to deny this claim if they have business interruption insurance. Are there any kind of legal steps that we're taking here to help try to protect these small businesses?
Well, I haven't heard of any at this point, but I would say this. If you are a small business, you need to check with your bank concerning the SBA loan program that was passed in that bill last week, which will provide additional money to a business in the form of a loan. And that money then can be used for payroll. And if you don't reduce your payroll during the next 2 months or 3 months, that loan will be forgiven. And I think that's a real nice incentive to keep the doors open. It's sort of a reverse unemployment policy in essence. And so I'm hoping that businesses will check with their banks. That would be my advice. If you're thinking about that loan, you need to check with your bank about it. And there's an application you fill out. It's supposed to be pretty easy, but the government sometimes. I was talking to Senator Lankford yesterday in a meeting, and he said and the Speaker of the House is a banker, and they had to get on the phone with the Treasury Secretary and get it straightened out because there was a problem. And typically, sometimes it seems like something is supposed to be pretty simple, but it's not. And this thing about the insurance, there's nothing in the insurance policy that relates to a pandemic.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
That's the way around it.
So, I think, though, if the president in that bill certainly has some emergency powers that aren't normally given to him. The same thing with the governor. If we meet in session next week and we pass this resolution giving him extended emergency power, he would have more authority to take action if necessary on things like the insurance issue, like they've done in New York City or New York State.
It's like that for the vacations. If you buy the vacation insurance, we're finding that there's not a category on there. I guess they put everything that it includes when you don't even think about it at the time, because it's like stuff that you think about, like what if something happened to my mom or whatever, or what if we had an accident. And then there's nothing on there that says pandemic, because none of us have lived through that. Like, who would have thought this would have happened? So that's their way around it. They're going, oh, well, we didn't put pandemic in there.
That's right.
That's not included. So
Harold, what do you think? We talked a little bit about the budget earlier and about how the shortfall is. So now, not only are we having to release funds for this current year, but I mean, obviously that means we're going to have to do something while you're trying to get next year's budget in. Is there going to have to be cuts?
Well, I don't think so. I think it'll be a flat budget, though, and a lot of agencies are requesting additional dollars, but I don't see that. I think we're going to use some of the rainy day money. There will be one good thing compared to 4 or 5 years ago when we were in the middle of our oil downturn. Economy in Oklahoma was the only state that was really feeling it. Louisiana and some of the other petroleum states were feeling it. South Dakota, North Dakota, they were feeling it, but as a whole, the United States was still doing pretty well. We got no help. Well, this year, this part of the money, will be used from those bills that the Senate and House passed, and the U.S. House, Congress. Those will help states, and Oklahoma will be getting money to help help take care of some of these expenses, additional expenses that we've had. And I think that will help our budget next year. But the bottom line to answer your question is that our budget next year is going to be pretty flat. We're going to have to use some of our rainy day money to help supplement that budget next year as well. But we have the money, thank goodness. We put aside, we got like $1.1 billion to set aside from last couple of years to use in this current year's budget, which, by the way, we operate on fiscal year, so it ends July 1st, 2020 budget does. We'll go into the 21 budget. So before we leave the legislature, not only we got to supplement this year's budget, we also have to do next year's budget as well. And those are a couple of things we have to do before we get out of here. We're not going to be having any committee meetings that we know of at this point unless things really change over the next month. And it looks like we're only going to be taking care of a few policy bills that leadership deems are necessary to continue operating state government.
So really there's no current, because of the way you guys are having to meet and separate, there's really no current legislation-wise that is COVID-19 related.
No, there's not. Not at all. Because, we didn't really see this coming.
Right.
Things made a big turn, about 180-degree turn when the player from the Jazz, what was his name? You probably remember.
Oh, Gobert. Yeah,
his name.
A couple weeks
Gobert.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, when that happened, it was like overnight everything changed. Not just, we were the center point of that change, in essence, and it really, things started moving fast at that point. And hopefully, the president extended this 30-day, the original 15 days to 30, more days, the end of April. And some models, the model that we're looking at in the state, brings this thing to a close during the month, or at least we reach our peak in April and start the downside of that. And I hope that's the case. I think all businesses, all people in their right mind hope that's the case, because we'd like to end this as quickly as possible. There are some models that extend this through August. I just don't think it's going to be that long, and I'm optimistic about that.
Well,
and hoping that we can get things turned around.
I keep thinking it's going to be state by state too. Is that
It will
crazy
be.
of me? I'm thinking, okay, we've
No.
got it here now. Surely by August it's out of here. Now maybe a different state. It's happening in August.
I know you mentioned all this mitigation, Harold, and so whenever they finally say, hey, we're starting to come down, May 1st, we can start leaving our houses again, what keeps it from just ramping right back up?
Well, you got to still be careful. And I think one way that keeps it from ramping up is the development of some medications to help cure, this thing. If we have that, I have a hard time saying the word. It's hydrochloroquine. It's the drug, and it's been around a long time to treat other things, particularly malaria. And it although it's not approved for this, doctors still can prescribe it. And so I think if it proves that that's effective, with some of the cases they're showing that it is. In France, they had some testing there. It's still, if you ask Dr. Fauci, though, he's going to tell you it's not approved yet, and it isn't. But it is. The doctors can prescribe it in cases where they believe it's necessary. So I think you start, if that happens and we start treating it better, then that takes some of that fear away.
Well, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, talk to you in private, what can they do?
Well, I'm just going to give my cell number on the radio. It's 580-774-7713, 580-774-7713. You can call my office too, but no one is in the office right now, including me. I'm in Weatherford, and I'm not quarantined because I haven't got the disease, but I am staying at home as much as possible, doing work on my computer and staying on top of things. But we will have to go into session next week. So call me if you've got a real issue that you need to talk about. I'll be glad to see what I can do to help. Sometimes things are just beyond my control, but maybe we can help you in some way, and we'll try to do that.
Thanks for talking to us, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, have a good one. We'll know more about what we've done when we meet up next week. Okay.
Awesome. Stay safe. Keep your family safe.
You all the same thing. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. State Representative Harold Wright is our guest this morning on Conversation Corner. Once again,